All right. Welcome everyone to Detect, Defend, and Deter, safeguarding your assets in 60 minutes. Just getting my Zoom stuff all right here. All right, so thanks for joining me. My name is Lisa Slaughter. I'm the Collection and Fraud Supervisor at MCCU. And a little bit about my background, I've been with MCCU for more than about 14 years. I also am a certified financial credit union financial counselor. So I work with members who are facing financial difficulties or simply want to lay out a plan to save, budget, or tackle their debt. So I do that as well. And we just started a new program on November 1st for that. So in the 14 years I focused on fraud, there's been a lot of change. Technology, of course, has led to fast changing environment, and scammers are getting more creative. The good news is you're here to learn about most common types of fraud that can occur, and then I'll provide you with some information, an overview of how that happens, and give you some tips and red flags, things to watch for red flags. So hopefully you're better equipped to safeguard your assets. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question if you have one as we're going along. If it's about the topic we're talking about. If it's just kind of a random question, either feel free to put it in the chat, or at the end we'll kind of go over any questions you guys may have. But feel free to stop me if it's about something as I'm talking. All right, so let's get started with the basics. What is fraud? Fraud is an activity that relies on deception in order to achieve a gain. So fraud becomes a crime when it is about knowing misrepresentation of the truth or concealment of a material fact to induce another act to his or her detriment. So pretty much anything that you don't approve of and that you didn't know about and that somebody's trying to scam you out of, that's when it becomes a fraud. Let's take a look at some shocking statistics on fraud. So from 2021 to 2022, fraud increased 1.6%. Total fraud victims in 2022 were just under $1 million. The age range is most victims are between 35 and 64 years old. And if we take a look at the state of Michigan, we are ranked in the top 10. So we are number 8 of the number of victims and number 17 for the total losses over $177 million. A few more statistics. So the Internet Crime Complaint Center had 800,000 complaints in 2022, with a total loss exceeding $10.3 billion. Phishing schemes were #1 crime with 300,000 complaints in 2022. Crypto investment scams increased from 1.5 billion in 2021 to 3.37 billion in 2022. So that took a huge increase as crypto is becoming more and more popular. We'll talk more about those two things in the later slides. So these topics were taken from a website. So I suggest you write this down, www.ic3.gov. It's right down here in the bottom where it's sourced. This website is full of information. It has information about different scams, ransomware, elder abuse. It also tells you how to file a complaint if you're a victim. So check out that website because it's a very useful one. This chart is from AARP. It's the losses by age in 2022. So you can see as you get older, you're likely to lose more money from being scammed. So your vulnerability increases the older you are. And then here's some other statistics by the Federal Trade Commission. So it lists the top 5 fraud. So you got imposters, online shopping, prizes, sweepstakes, and lottery, investments in business and job opportunities. 2.4 billion fraud reports, which is decreased by the number of people than in the past, but per person it's increasing. So 8.8 billion is the total loss. Social media is seeing a big loss at 1.2 billion. And then the average loss per phone call per person is about $1,400. Some types of fraud. So these are a list of most common types of fraud that we see. Most of the names are pretty straightforward, like identity theft, mail theft, but some other ones you might not know, like spoofing or phishing, and even one called pig butchering, which I'll talk more about in a few minutes. So let's get started. All right, first up is romance scam. So this is probably one of the most popular ones I see. Basically, a romance scam occurs when an individual adopts a fake online identity to gain the victim's affection and trust. This is commonly done via dating apps, but it can also come to you as a friend request on social media. The scammer then uses the illusion of a romantic or close relationship to manipulate and steal from the victim. The scammer will seem genuine, caring, and believable. They are, after all, the experts. So the scammer may make a plan to meet with you in person. Usually they'll even propose marriage or say, you know, I need to pay off these fees and then I'll come there wherever you are and we'll be together. Eventually they have something that happens that they never actually come, or make excuses so that you keep believing them. And then eventually, after they've developed that relationship with you, they're going to start slowly asking for money. They may also ask for your bank account to deposit money. Maybe they're saying they're going to give you money, but then more than likely they're going to try to do other fraud stuff through your account. So how can you protect yourself from being a victim of a romance scam? So you never reveal your personal information about yourself online. You want to remain, so if you're on a dating site, you want to remain on the dating site that you started on. Most scammers will try to switch you to a different site, like the WhatsApp or maybe texting or just something different. They're going to try to get you off the dating platform. Remember, anyone can pretend to be anyone online. So don't accept friend requests from people you don't know, even if you have other friends who might know that person. A lot of people's profiles get hacked and then they start creating new profiles, and that's really the scammer. Be wary if you're encouraged to keep things from your friends or family. So if the individual you're talking to doesn't want you to tell anybody about them, or, you know, kind of keep it quiet, that could be a red flag. Be wary of anyone asking lots of questions about you, but they don't want to tell you much about themselves. So take a moment to stop and think before parting with any of your money or information. Make sure that it seems legit and kind of question what's happening. So here's a list of activities the scammer may ask you to do, which could include sending them money, allowing them to access your bank account. They might ask you for your online login information to create a mobile app. They could transfer money. They want you to transfer money on their behalf. They might ask you to take out a loan and send them the money. Provide copies of your personal documentation, so passport, driver's license, you know, anything along that line. They might ask you to invest your own money. Now we're seeing a lot of people, them requesting for you to purchase gift cards and then send them the redemption codes to them. Or they're also asking you to cash a check on their behalf and then send them the money back. So these are a lot of red flags. So if anybody online is asking you, be wary. So the next up is the pig butchering scam. So like I said, this is fairly new. So what this is the victim will be convinced by the scammer to fatten up a phony investment account, only to have the scammer then take the money and empty out the investment account and then disappear. So it gets its name because it's done to the similar way that if you have pigs or hogs that are, you fatten them up and then you lead them off to be slaughtered. So the victims are fattening up their investment accounts, and then the scammer basically slaughters them and takes all their money and anything that they can get. So that's where the pig butchering name comes into play. So they try to get you to invest in a scam, an investment scam over a period of time. They'll ask you to, deposit money based on, usually it's with crypto related investments. So they want you to send money through a crypto related site, and then they'll even create fake statements to show you, to make it look like you're gaining interest and gaining more money. And then that's how they keep getting you to invest more and more money, is because they keep creating these fake statements to show you, so you think you're getting all this money. So they'll convince you to see the benefits of doing the investment and how much money you can make, and then they'll talk you to invest more and more. So they are usually pushy and will say, you have to do it now. This deal is right now only. So they want you to do it now. And then they also try to make you do it often, as fast as they can over a short period of time. So how can you identify if you're a target for a pig butchering scam? Here are some red flags. So you receive a random text or an email from someone you don't know. Your new acquaintance avoids phone calls or video conversations and only wants to maybe communicate via text message. The conversation quickly turns into topics on investments, high earnings. The scammer will often boast about how much they own. So they might show, hey, I own houses in this state, or in Mexico or different places. And then they might talk about all the trips that they're taking on vacation. Maybe they're talking about owning expensive cars. So they want you to see what it's like to have this nice lifestyle from doing all this investing, and they get you to think that that's how they got it, so you can do it too. The conversation is usually flirtatious, and then they talk about you a lot. They talk about investments and how you can make money. They describe what you could do with the money, how it can improve your living, making you want to do a lot of investing. Next on the list is check fraud via selling online. So this is where you sell an item through Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, or any other online selling site. These are where you want to be cautious. What happens is the buyer agrees to purchase an item from you, and then you commit, they say they'll mail you a check to pay for it. So then usually when the check arrives, it's usually more than what you sold the item for. So the buyer will then ask you to deposit the check and send them money back, maybe through Cash App, Wire, any other kind of Cash App device. And then they may even tell you to, hey, keep a little bit of money for the trouble. So if you have an item listed for $500, you might get a check for $1,200 in the mail, and then they're like, oh man, I didn't mean to pay you extra, but go ahead and keep $600, send me the money back in Cash App, and then send me the item. So then what happens is when you deposit the check, then the check's going to get returned. It's a closed account, or it's fraud, or it's fake. So now you're out the money and the item that you probably already mailed to them. So just remember that when you give the teller a check, it doesn't mean it's instantly good. It still has to be processed, which could take up to 10 days before it's returned to us. So you should always hold the money, hold the item, and wait to make sure that check clears before. So here's a few tips to protect yourself when selling online. Do not accept checks as payment. Limit your communication channels. Again, don't move from Craigslist or Facebook to texting, emailing, or other social media platforms. When you're selling locally, make sure you stick to in-person transactions, only accept cash, and make sure you meet up at a location that's secure, like a police station or a well-populated area. If you ship the item, make sure that you never ship to an address that's not on the buyer's profile, and never ship the item until the payment is verified and the check has cleared. Many money exchange apps offer seller protection and guidelines. So like PayPal, if you go through PayPal, usually you're protected. And if something was wrong or fraudulent, they can help you get that money back. Next on the list is check fraud via work from home jobs. So since COVID-19, there's become a lot of work from home jobs. They're becoming very popular. More and more people are attracted to work from home jobs to accommodate their busy schedules. Today, there are fake jobs even on legit sites like Indeed. So basically what happens is an individual, the scammer, will pose as a company or independent contractor and offer you a job that's remote. The individual will issue a check for a large amount and then require you to cash it and send the money back to them. And then after they get the money back, they will then send you materials for a job. Maybe you'll have to pay for training. So we see this, I've seen it happen quite several times. Sometimes they're even asking the people to withdraw the cash the check, withdraw it, take it to a local like Bank of America and deposit the cash into an account. So never do anything like that. A good way to verify is call the actual company and make sure that they recruit that way. So some tips to protect you from fake work from home jobs is do not respond to calls, text messages, or emails from unknown numbers or suspicious addresses. Does the job seem too good to be true? It likely is, or it should at least give you a pause and you should think about what you're doing. Research the company. Little to no information on the company is a red flag. While researching, you may also find that there are other warnings online about the company because maybe somebody else has fallen victim. So you might be able to just simple Google it and it might come up saying, hey, this company is known for scams or has been scammed. Are they overly eager to hire you? Are they asking you to pay for work? Are they asking you for sensitive information or financial information over email, text, or phone calls? That could be a red flag that an employer is never going to ask you that until you're actually going through the process. All right, the next step is identity theft. While identity theft has been around for a long time, it's still one of the top fraud things that we see. So identity theft is when an individual steals your personal information and uses it to create a new account. They make purchases or commit other types of fraud through your account or with your information. Through this, they could drain your bank account. They can run up charges on your credit cards. They can open new accounts. They can get medical treatment on your health insurance. They can file taxes in your name to get a refund that then you would miss out on. So there are three common types: financial, medical, and online. The most common ways to steal identity is by physical theft, which includes dumpster diving, mail theft, skimming, or through a change of address. The main victims of identity theft are usually between 30 and 39 years old, but this can happen to anyone. Almost 1/3 of Americans have been a victim of identity theft. 87% of people leave personal information exposed online. This would include using a public Wi-Fi, shopping on certain websites, sharing passwords, or reusing even the same password multiple times. Half of all identity theft victims claim to have shopped online prior to the attack, and 79% of Americans claim to have shared passwords with friends or family. All right, so let's take a look at some tips that can help keep your identity protected. So you can avoid personal information sharing on social media. So this can even happen without really thinking about it. So for an example, maybe you see a friend post on Facebook a list of things they've done in their life and ask a friend to do the same. So it's, the post could say questions like, been married, been divorced, how many kids do you have? Have you been to Mexico? All these different types of things. And then you answer. It appears to be fun, but it can also be putting all your personal information out there that somebody could then easily steal. So if your Facebook page is public, anyone could search your name and find any of that information. So you should always check your Facebook and social media and make sure they're private. Utilize a secure network when accessing personal account information. So basically that means don't access personal accounts over unsecured network Wi-Fi's that you don't know. So like if you're at McDonald's or Barnes and Noble, you don't want to use their Wi-Fi and then access your account because somebody could be around or on that Wi-Fi that could be looking for somebody to do that, and then they hack all your information. Protect your accounts with strong passwords and with multi-factor authentication. Be sure to scan your device for spyware and malware often. Be smart when paying online. One thing that you can do is always only use one credit card. That's the only card you use online shopping. Don't use multiple cards online. Just stick to the one. A few more tips include, and I can only say this enough, I can't say this enough times, but don't give out your personal information. So nobody should ever ask for your social security number, your date of birth, your mother's maiden name. You never just want to give all that information out to just anyone. Regularly review your bills and account statements for unusual activity. A good option is to enroll in e-statements. With Marshall Credit Union, you can enroll in e-statements right through online banking, and then you can go through your online banking and check them out and see what transactions are happening versus waiting until your statement comes in the mail at the end of the month. Protect your paper records. So using a safe at home, you can run a safe deposit box, shred documents securely versus just throwing them away. That's where the dumpster diving comes into play. So if you throw your stuff away, people are out there digging through your garbage, stealing your information. So we offer free shred days throughout the year. In fact, we have one going on this week for Fraud Prevention Week. So if you have some documents at home hanging out that you need to get rid of, even the credit card statement offers that come in the mail, you should shred those versus throwing them away. So feel free to stop by any of our locations and do that this week. Be aware of your surroundings when using your debit or credit card. And then finally, check your credit report regularly. You can obtain one free copy of your credit report from each bureau at annualcreditreporting.com. And then if you find anything suspicious on there, be sure to put a freeze on your credit report. Up next is what's called money mules. A money mule is someone who transfers or moves illegally acquired money on behalf of someone else. Criminals will recruit money mules to help launder proceeds derived from online scams or fraud. Crimes like human trafficking and drug trafficking. Basically, they have somebody doing their dirty work, so they're using you to run all the money through, so it can't be traced back to them. Money mules add layers of distance between crime victims and criminals. So law enforcement can't trace the money, and then they just lead them back to the person who's actually a victim and not the criminal. Never move money at the direction of another person, especially if you don't know that person. So let's talk about spoofing and phishing. So this happens a lot. So spoofing is when someone disguises an email address, a phone number, a website, or sender's name to trick you into thinking you are interacting with a trusted source. So have you gotten an email or phone call from someone saying that they're from your credit union, or an email from a financial institution that you don't actually have an account with? This is what's called spoofing. So messages commonly come from PayPal or Netflix. They may say, hey, your account's been frozen, and maybe you don't even have a Netflix account. If you then it wants you to click on a link, this is what's called spoofing. So phishing schemes are similar to spoofing. So in fact, spoofing techniques are used to lure you in to take the bait when it comes to phishing. So these scams are designed to trick you into giving information to criminals that they shouldn't have access to. So one example is you receive an email from what appears to be a legitimate business asking you to update or verify your personal information by replying to the email or clicking and visiting a website. There's a link in the email that's fake, and then when you enter that information in, the scammer just got all your information. So there's 3 types of phishing scams. Phishing scam happens over the phone or via voice messages. Smishing scams happen through text messages. And farming scams happen when malicious code is installed on your computer that redirects you to the fake website. So here are a few tips to help you prevent this. So don't answer unknown numbers. Don't respond to emails or text messages and go directly to the source. So like I was talking about, like Netflix. So if you receive an email from Netflix and you really have Netflix, don't actually click on the link. Go directly to the Netflix website or app and try to verify what they're wanting. Don't click on links in emails or even on social media. Spoofing can make a fake website or Facebook page that looks just like the real thing. So there's always something different in the URL code that could throw you off that you might not catch. It could include just a small little change. So it could say Netflix, you know, and Netflix could be spelled differently, or maybe the I isn't in Netflix and you don't even notice it when you click on it. That's leading you to the fake website. Always have virus protection on your computer and make sure you do updates frequently to make sure you're protected. And then on the next slide, I'm going to show you MCCU account that got hacked. And you can see what that looks like. So we do a lot of social media giveaways on Facebook. So back in July, we had a ticket giveaway for the Battle Jacks. So the original post is what's on the left. It was to be entered. We asked people to comment, what's your favorite baseball movie? So then in the middle photo, you can see several people were responding, and with each response, you can see a comment from MCCU. And then on the right, you can see what each MCCU comment was and that it replied on everybody's. So there's a closer up picture here. So basically it just says, congratulations, I'm very excited to say, congratulations, you've been chosen the winner of the giveaway. So this response was on every single person's. So as you can see, it says, claim now, click this link, contact, click continue, and then return. So I want you to follow the certain steps. So you can verify that the response is from MCCU, see slight grammar inconsistencies, and then you're being asked to take a series of steps to claim. So some of the things that you can see to verify if it's legit or not, might take you a couple extra steps, but so verify the responses from the person or the company you're interacting with, but do more than just look at the name and logo. You can click on the name and the poster will take you to the poster's website. So if you clicked on the top of their Marshall Community Credit Union, it would have took you to a page, which will be right here. So it took you to this page that was not really MCCU's, but they created a separate page, and then you can see it says real estate. So you might think that, oh, this could be the credit unions because they do real estate. But if you go to our actual page and compare, they're not the same. So you can just search the name. So we searched the name in Facebook and found 3 MCCU credit unions, and this one that was labeled real estate, and then the other one, so we could find different things that were off about each one. So they basically spoofed our Facebook page and would make you think in a quick glance that, hey, this is really the credit union. I did one. So then you want to always make sure you go back to what the post really said. So the post was about, you know, we would contact you. Not everybody would win, obviously. So we were able to report the page and get it removed, but always double check those type of things. Sometimes you might see like Marshall Community Credit Union could have one L in Marshall instead, and that could lead you to maybe thinking, something doesn't seem right. All right, so here are a few more things that you can do. So one, signs of spoofing. One, the sender email address is similar, but a little bit different. Poor grammar is used in the message, so look for misspellings. The URL address does not have maybe the S in the HTTPS. You receive calls from unknown numbers, and attachments in the email seem suspicious. So you never want to open attachment right away. You always want to make sure you know what you're opening and what the attachment is, because the attachment could be malware that is now on your computer. So how to protect against spoofing attacks. So there's some do's and some don'ts. So the do's are turn on your spam filter, check for poor grammar. You can hover over the URL to see the full thing before you click on it to see if there's any misspellings. Confirm information with the source. So again, go to Netflix directly instead of clicking on the link. Set up 2-factor authentications and download cybersecurity software. Don't click on the downloads. Don't answer calls or emails from unrecognized senders. Never give out your personal information, and never use the same password for several logins. All right, so next up is skimming. So there's always report of new skimmers alerts in the news if you watch the news. Skimmers are devices that are illegally installed on ATMs, point of sale terminals, or fuel pumps to capture card data, and then they record the cardholder's PIN number. So criminals use the data to create a fake debit card or credit card and then steal the victim's account. It's estimated that skimming costs consumers and financial institutions more than $1 billion each year. So here's a few tips to reduce your odds of becoming a victim of a skimmer. So when pumping fuel, choose the pump that's the closest to the store and directly in view of the attendant. So skimmers are usually placed on the farthest pumps, the hardest ones to see. Run your transaction as a credit instead of a debit, meaning you don't have to enter your PIN number. As a debit, you would enter your PIN number. If you do use it as a debit and enter a PIN, make sure you use your hand and cover it up while you're typing. Consider paying inside and not at the pump. And then you can always jiggle at the card reader to see if something is placed over it. And I'll show you some kind of on the next screen what I mean, and make sure that it doesn't move or fall off. So here's a picture of an ATM. So where they're inserting their card. So sometimes the skimmer is the same identical as as normal, and it's just overlapping the other one. So usually if you jiggle it or something, it would then be kind of loose and might fall off, or where on a real ATM or a machine, a card reader, it's all part of the machine. It's not just going to come off. Okay, so then sometimes what happens is they put a hidden camera because they want to watch you enter your PIN number. So that's why covering up the PIN number as you type it in will help. So if there is a camera nearby, they won't be able to have that information. The skimmer is placed right over the top of the card reader, and then basically on the inside of it, there's a little electronic device that's recording your scan and all your information as you put it in there. Sometimes there might even be a keypad overlay that will store the information as you type. So you can always kind of jiggle everything, mostly the card reader, and see how it seems. All right, so in 2018 to 2023, nearly 9,000 suspects were arrested for theft of mail and packages. So here's a few tips to help you from being a fraud from that, scam from that. When your mail is delivered, promptly pick it up. Don't leave your packages and mail outside. You can inquire about overdue mail. So at the post office, you can enroll in notifications. It's called Informed Delivery by USPS. This service will notify you when your mail is delivered, what's delivered. It sends you a picture of everything delivered, and you can even mark on the site if it wasn't received, and then they'll help investigate it. Don't send cash. And as far as checks, I would only mail them if you absolutely need to. If you're planning to be out of town, notify USPS and put a hold on your mail, and they'll hold it at the post office until you return home. Be sure to request signature confirmations on delivery. File a change of address if you move, and drop off mail at the post office versus using putting up your mail flag at your home, or even sometimes using blue mailboxes at the post office or locations. What's happening is people are stealing the mailbox keys from the post office delivery, and then they are just opening those mailboxes and getting everybody's mail. 'Tis the season for holiday fraud as we go into November and Christmas shopping time. So some scams around the holidays, they're always on the rise. So the scammers are out in full force trying to get more money. So scams around Christmas time cost people about $337 million a year. There are two popular scams called non-delivery and non-payment. So non-delivery scams is when a buyer pays for a good or service online, but then you never receive the item you purchased. A non-payment scam involves good or services being shipped, but the seller is never paid. There's an abundance of holiday scams, so here are a few tips to help guide you through the holiday season. And they're also good tips throughout the rest of the year. So social media. So ads on social media can be misleading. Products target your social media feed so that they think you want to click on them. They're enhancing you to want to click and see what's going on or offer you a discount. So when you open your internet browser, you can always search on the bbb.org, that is Better Business Bureau, and search the company before you just buy something from a random company through social media. Make sure the business is reputable. If it is, you can go to their actual website and purchase from there versus clicking on the link through social media. Don't participate in social media gift exchanges. So giving is always better than receiving, but only with those you know and love. Don't exchange gifts with people you don't know online. So there's always a Facebook thing about, hey, let's do this gift exchange, and you're mailing gifts to someone in a different state, and those can also, be a scam. Holiday app. So tracking Santa location is great, but you could contact malware when you download that app or the software, or when you click on a link, it could take you to something that is putting malware on your computer. Alerts about compromised accounts. You'll get an email from your account. So like I was talking about Netflix, so Amazon, PayPal, all those things that'll say your account's been compromised, click on this link and reset your information. So again, go directly to those websites versus clicking on that link. Email offer for free gift cards. So if you open an email and it says, hey, click on this link, you'll receive a free gift card for completing a survey. That link could then put malware on your account, on your computer. So temporary holiday jobs. Job hiring for the seasons is usually up. So just make sure if you're looking for some extra money, make sure it's a legit job. And again, watch those Indeed's jobs because they can also have scams. Look like websites. So watch for websites that look like major companies. I know there's one like Hey Dudes, if you know what Hey Dudes shoes are. There is a link that's similar to Hey Dudes. The website looks like Hey Dudes website, but it's not Hey Dudes websites. So one letter could be different in their link. So just make sure you're going to the correct site. Fake charities. So avoid impromptu donations to unfamiliar organizations or, last minute donations at the end of the year before you, for your taxes. So just don't donate to something that somebody just randomly emails you or through Facebook. Fake shipping notifications. When you make a purchase online and the product is delivered to you, you will get an email about shipping. Watch for notifications from companies that aren't shipping your item. Don't click on those links. So you'll get an email from FedEx, but maybe your package is coming USPS and you think, oh, hey, I do have a package coming, but you just click on the link because you don't think about who's mailing it. So make sure you're just watching those links because that will happen a lot too right now. Other adults have been scammed out of more than $3 billion. They are often targeted because they tend to be trusting and polite. They usually have financial savings. They might own a home and have good credit. Other adults are less likely to report fraud because they don't know how or because they're ashamed that they've been scammed. So there are several ways to report fraud. Find someone you're comfortable with to share. There are several booklets that can guide you. You can also go to the website called reportfraud.ftc.gov to report, or local in Calhoun County. Carewell Services of Southwest Michigan is an area agency on aging services for Calhoun and Berry counties, so they can help direct you. So some elder adults are concerned that once they report it or tell their relatives, that the relatives will lose confidence in their ability to manage their own finance, and then they don't like that when they think they can't do it themselves. So you can always talk with a friend or family member if you have a situation you're uncomfortable with or someone calls asking suspicious questions. Always talk to somebody else and try to get their take on it before you actually do whatever they're asking. And that is it. So I am in the fraud world every day, and I know it's super overwhelming, and this was a lot of information and just kind of touching the base on everything. But I'm always happy and I'm here for you guys. If you have questions, I'm more than happy to help walk you through a situation and question things that I think are suspicious. So feel free to call me with anything at any time. Do you guys have any questions?
Lisa, we go through this at work, so I think you did a nice job of covering it, and the examples are always important.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just awful. It's awful the things that you get and the things you get caught up in. I think personally, I don't use Facebook. I think I was really smart.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on Facebook, and that's the big thing with staying connected with family and friends that you don't see or talk to all the time. But if you're doing certain stuff, you're putting yourself out there. So
A lot of rabbit holes, yeah.
Yes. So if you're just doing it and kind of watching from a distance and not posting and not sharing, then you might be all right.
Well, thank you very much. I've got to run. I've got to be someplace at 7.
You're welcome. Thanks for attending.
Appreciate the effort you put into this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Lisa, thank you. We as well appreciated the presentation and the samples, particularly on the skimming and stuff, kind of help you keep a better lookout when you're at the pumps and things. But we see a lot of what you're talking about in the emails and things that come through with just into junk folders. Microsoft does a pretty good job of filtering out
Yep.
that have all of those extra letters or oddball letters that are not the real company. That they push into the junk folder, and you can see a plethora of examples when you go there.
Yep.
If you look at your junk folders, but yeah, good presentation and helpful, and a
Thank
lot of
you.
people be able to benefit from it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I also have a lot of documents out in every branch, all 3 of our branches. That's free for you guys to come in and check out and take it. It's got a lot of, you know, some of the different topics that we talked about. I have a lot of brochures and pamphlets. There's a booklet if you have elder parents that it helps walk you through how to make sure you're caring for them, and or if they're in a nursing home or anything. So feel free this week to stop in and check it out.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else. And if nobody has any questions, you're free to go and get a little bit of dinner time back.